everybody know. Welcome back to Hooked on Hitchcock, the show where G. Larry Butler, my co-host in crime, and I talk about Hitchcock movies. You know, how
Hey,
you
hey,
doing?
hey.
How you doing, Larry?
Still breathing. That's the main thing. So, yeah, what a day to discuss this. Whoa,
Yeah, it
it's
sounds like
been
you've had some technological issues today,
yeah, extreme, like beyond belief.
but that's
So,
okay. We're here. It's present. Let's get this done. Let's talk this out. The movie that we're going to be reviewing, and ChatGPT wrote me out a opening thought due to everything I've been talking to him about. Didn't even ask him to do this. He just did it. You know, this is the AI thing. But it said, today we're talking about Easy Virtue, a film that tested my patience, but stuck the landing in a big way. It's a slow burn, very slow burn, that finally rewards you with with a woman reclaiming her dignity in a world that tried to destroy her. And I'm not going to go into everything else it said because that'll actually ruin the rest of the movie. But yeah, it was what?
what movie? No plot, situation, but it's well. Anyway, I don't want to disparage it too soon, but yeah, I was just not impressed at all with this. Even
Well,
though it's one of his first films, there's no defense.
well,
He,
and this is also a I found out this was actually a was it director for hire project. This wasn't one of his like things he picked out. Somebody else paid him to do this movie.
but
Can you?
anyway,
Hey, did you hear what I
it's
said?
fine. Well,
Uh-oh, we're getting
what
some
did you
technical.
say?
We're getting some technical difficulties here. I can see already. Ah, just perfect. You know. So
What
what I
did,
was saying was this was a director for hire project.
okay.
So he didn't pick this out. This was picked for him, and he was paid
Oh, I
money to
see.
do it. And he doesn't even like it. Like he doesn't talk about it. It wasn't his, and the thing he said was that he didn't like it because it's a Noel Coward play, but there's no
Hmm.
audible dialogue that's allowed. So if you watch the movie, like maybe half of the dialogue is in the movie or whatever, but the rest of that, you know, the rest of it's gone. And that opening scene at the trial apparently doesn't even happen in the play,
Hmm.
I don't believe. You know, that was all
Right.
Hitchcock, you know.
That was just a technical, issue, like some way to start a movie that surprised everybody. I thought it was a head of cauliflower, and then it turns out to be a person's head.
Hmm.
That was kind of unique. I kind of enjoyed that. And the monocle in the courtroom, everybody's seen through the judge's eye in the
Mm-hmm.
monocle in one of his eyes. And and there was a couple other things, but very few other things. It was pretty flat,
It was.
and no real plot to speak of, no suspense at all.
Oh,
I was
well,
just
this is pre like his real suspense stuff, you know. Like other than The Lodger, this was like he was doing a lot of other films, not just suspense films in the beginning of his career. We're gonna get into some of them. Some of them
uh-huh.
I'm like got great ideas and then they kind of sound boring, you know. So I don't know. It
Right.
I thought obviously for some reason I thought this was going to be a comedy, not a drama, you know? And then I don't
Uh-huh.
know. Um but what can you say about the plot of the movie or
The
plots?
plot, pretty much, the way to sum it up is, all right, following a trip to Europe, the guy named John, who she ultimately marries for her second husband, John returns to English family estate and surprises his family with his glamorous American bride. And they're not too amused with her, except for the father, who is fascinated by her. But the mother, very, I don't know if he hates her, but she's very scornful, and the sister as well. Um, Now, the mom dislikes her, like I said, and then Larita, who's the star of the show, she's the lead actor. She dislikes the stuffy house and the scornful in-laws, and they soon discover her scandalous past. And they're very bigoted people. And there was a very tense situation throughout. The film originally was 94 minutes, and it was reduced to 80, which explains why some of the most important scenes were omitted. Now, when it starts in a trial, right? And they're
Hmm.
doing the movie through flashbacks, and it
Which
shows where her
that's I
first
don't like that.
husband.
I didn't like that, by the way. I just want to point that out. I hated that because there was times where I was like, oh, the trial's over, right? Or going into something else. No, we're in a flashback of her talking about it, but I didn't get that. I got very confused. And then eventually I
Well,
caught
it's easy
on
to
that it
do it.
was what?
Well, I like always, I try to see it twice. The first time I was like you, I didn't know what the hell I was seeing. I couldn't even take notes. Because I just had to watch it through. And then the second time I took a lot of notes, but it made sense then, but I still didn't like it. So what
Thank you.
happened was here's what happened, what we missed. Well, I don't want to ruin it, but she was having not an affair, but a flirtation
It was just a
with an artist.
flirtation.
But I don't think they slept together or
I
anything. But
know. They
he,
were just
he
talking
did
to each
see
other.
her. Well, he saw her in her underwear and a few other things, and the husband saw that, and he became intensely jealous. He's an older man. He's got a very pretty wife, a young wife, an older man who's a drunk. That's a
Mm.
bad combination. So he tries to kill this guy, and then the artist shoots him. And then because I have a version, I don't know if you saw the same thing, but I'm like, whatever happened to the artist? Then later on, they said something like, well, he left his estate to her. Well, how did he die? It doesn't show that. But then I had to read reviews, and somebody wrote, it's too bad that he had to kill himself. Like, what? So the artist killed himself over what? I mean, they didn't even have an affair. And it's very melodramatic, but they did have a big fight, the first husband and the artist. And then the artist shoots at the husband. I don't know that he hit him. And then the husband beats him with his cane and
That was
collapses.
that was the worst fight thing, whatever
Yeah,
I've
of
ever
course.
seen.
Yeah.
Like
It was
he's
all
just going
fake.
like this really quickly, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, the guy falls down, and I'm like,
Right.
what in the world just happened? And then apparently there was a gun in the guy's hand, but I didn't see it. And I was like, this is this is atrocious. Like for Hitchcock, this is
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Well, he was
Like
young. He's only like 28, right? So, but it's still,
28
like,
for Hitchcock should have been a lot better, you know.
yeah.
Like I don't know.
Well, anyway, because of that, her husband takes her to court, divorces her, and they grant him the divorce. Oh, damn. My machine keeps going off. I've got my notes on my computer. Um, so that they grant him the divorce from his wife because in those days, in the 1920s, it was a man's world, and it was very misogynistic. And they decided that any kind of problems with a marriage is a woman's fault.
Hmm.
So she's damaged goods because of this, and she
Hmm.
has to run away from the paparazzi and go to the Mediterranean to escape the disgrace of it because they accused her. I think they convicted her of something called bad conduct or something. I
What?
can't find the
All I
right
saw,
thing.
all I saw also is like apparently she was the thing was undefeated. I don't know what that means.
No, undefended. She couldn't defend herself.
Undefended. Okay,
Yeah,
so what does that mean?
it means she has no defense. against the case.
So she just lost. So she just yeah.
She lost because she's a woman, basically. From what I understood, I studied a lot of reviews afterward, tried to pick up some trivia and this and that, like I always do. But they were explaining the movie, and I'm like, oh, that's something I didn't see. It's because I didn't see the artist get killed either. They said in the original version he shoots himself in the head, but because
Okay.
they cut 14 minutes out of the film, for some odd reason they cut that out. That was a very pivotal moment, and I don't know why they did that. But anyway, so she is a totally disgraced woman, damaged goods. She runs away to the Mediterranean, and then she meets this guy by accident because he hits a tennis ball. He's a tennis player, knocks her in the head, gives her a black eye, knocks her over. He comes over and apologizes and takes her to lunch, and then they become not
And they fall in
lovers
love.
right away, but I mean, yeah, they were an item, and so then he decides he wants to marry her, and she said,
Hmm.
"Well, you don't know a thing about me." And that's true. He doesn't. He might not have had he known, but he decides, I don't care. We're in love. Let's get married. And then that wasn't really shown
Uh,
either.
by the way, I didn't see the wedding or anything. But the funny thing is, I told my dad that he said that line where he goes, she said, you don't know anything, yeah, you don't even know about my past. And
Right.
he was like, if somebody had said that to me, I'd be like, oh, well, I'd like you to tell me, like,
Uh,
right? And I was like,
right.
exactly. Like that's what
Well,
how it
if
is
you're in
today.
love, sometimes you let things get by you.
I don't
I don't
know.
want to know. It might color my perception of you or whatever. So,
Yeah, well,
I
it
mean, we all
did.
have secrets. We all have secrets, and she had some big ones. And
Hmm.
then she didn't try to explain it either. So I was think she was trying to hide it. And
Just
then,
keeping a secret.
but anyway, she couldn't hide the fact that she was charming and attractive, and people were, hitting on her. And so she decided on that one, and he finally convinced her. And this is the cleverness of Hitchcock that he put this in. We found out that she got married because of the switchboard operator and the telephone. You remember the faces she was making? She
Hmm.
was listening in. See, my mother used to be a telephone operator in the old days, and she could listen in on everybody's conversations and get all the gossip in town. So this woman was listening, and she was, nodding and smiling and then frowning and smiling. I'm thinking, what the hell is she doing? Oh, I bet she's listening in on their talking about getting married or something because they didn't show the wedding. But so that was clever in and of itself, and I like
I
that.
wish I could have understood. I didn't get that from that, but that's
Well, you would have the second time. And
maybe.
then somebody actually in the reviews said it was very clever. The fit switchboard operator did, and that kind of cemented it for me. It was like,
There you
oh,
go.
that's what's going on. Yeah. So, but I kind of figured it out even before that. But so anyway, so he takes her home to England, I believe, right in the
Hmm.
country, and she's this American hot dish, right? And they're a little shocked, like he would do that. And then the mother right away says, uh, "Oh, I hope you don't. I trust you won't be bored by our simple family life." And I thought, you're all aristocrats. What do you mean simple family life? They're they're kind of arrogantly understating, their elegance. But I mean, they're nothing racy like the 20s in America, with the flappers and everything. So, and then I think the girl, Larita, says, "Funny, I thought you'd be dark and foreign looking." Or maybe the mother said that to her. And that
Hmm.
was pretty funny. Um, I thought that's a very racist thing to say. Um, so, and then she says, "I've seen your face somewhere before. Do we have mutual friends?" And the girl is trying to hide the fact that maybe she does know her from somewhere. She knows her from the newspaper,
Right.
and so the dad's fascinated with her, and the mom thinks she's concealing something, which she is, and she
By the
treats Larita badly. What?
By the way, the girl who plays Larita comes back to Hitchcock. Has worked again with
Later
Hitchcock.
on?
Yeah,
Yeah, she had a
she was
pretty good
in
career.
yeah, she was in Suspicion. The
We forgot to do the cast.
yeah,
So
her name
uh,
is Isabel Jeans, and
Isabel
she,
Jeans, yeah, and she had a good career,
yeah,
even in Hollywood.
she
And
was
then,
I mean she was great in this. I mean, with
yeah, even
silent
though it's a
films,
silent
all you
film,
can with silent
yeah.
films, it's mostly expressions on your face.
Well,
You
you
know,
have to guess what they're talking about. I don't read lips,
I don't
so
read
you
lips
just had to guess.
either. And look, my biggest problem with silent films. Here's the thing. I got ADHD. Like seriously, I have like mad ADHD. Some people may be like, "Oh, you don't have." No, I fucking have a problem. My brain just is on like 24. You know this. My brain is
Yeah,
constantly like grinding and working and doing stuff, right?
right,
Like I'm and
right,
and so when I'm there, you know, watching a silent film, you have to focus. Like you have to be 100% focused on the thing. I can't do it. It's just that my brain doesn't work that way. It wants to look around at shiny objects and
right.
stuff. And so when I have to kind of watch this in like phases or something, like take a break,
Uh-huh.
and stuff. And I did a little bit. I tried to watch it as quickly as I could because I got late. We had to eat dinner, and then I was like, oh shit,
Yeah,
I gotta watch this damn movie.
yeah,
You know, Like,
yeah. It was frustrating for me too.
yeah.
So, but I don't know other than Isabel Jeans, who anybody who's semi-famous.
Let me
Uh,
look. Let me see who.
Robin Irvine played John Whitaker, which was her second husband, the young guy.
Yeah, so the first husband is was Aubrey Filton was the guy's name, character's name. His name, the actor was named Franklin Dial, and
Right.
I don't see anything. I don't know. I mean, he had a
You
career.
know, you know who I did recognize is the
Who,
mother, the his John's mother,
right?
Violet Fairbrother. She's a very
Mm-hmm.
stern-looking woman, elderly, and
Mm-hmm.
I've seen her before in other English films.
Yeah,
And
she's been in
Frank
some
Elliott,
stuff.
the father, probably saw him too.
Oh, I loved him,
Uh,
by the way. He and the okay. Tell me, was that girl like a friend of his, or was that a sister?
okay, here's what I finally figured out. The sister was the brunette. She was
Right.
kind of the bitchy one. Now the
Mm-hmm.
real nice girl was Sarah.
Right.
Now she was wanting to marry John, and at the end of the movie, one of the last lines is when Larita said, "You know what? You should have married him," or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, you
Probably
ought
should
to have
still
married
marry him. Yeah.
John. And so I'm going to leave him to you. I'm leaving, and you can have him. Pretty
Yeah.
much was what he said.
Yeah. Which I
So
think was the best, because the
yeah,
family loves him. And
well, yeah. I mean, they're culturally compatible. They're from the same area, and she's a very nice woman.
yeah, nothing
And
wrong
I
with
think
her.
he would have been better off with her. So, but he got the flash in the pan, the American flapper. Like, whoa, you don't get one of those every day. I'm going to take a trophy wife home. So
Mm.
it kind of blew up in his
In
in
his
his lap.
English face. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So
I was like, he's an idiot, man. Because even so Sarah looks at him and says, no matter what they found out, you go to her anyway, right? Or whatever.
right,
And I was thinking, that's the nicest person, like for him and everything. That is the
right.
perfect person for him. Because like
Yeah,
she, even if she liked him and stuff and wanted to marry him and everything, wished that they were together, she was still being very supportive of John being with somebody else. I mean, I think that's
yeah.
no, you don't get that
But
these days.
no, I know she's very, very. I don't know what the word is, very balanced personality. Um, the mother even confronted her and said, "How can you be so supportive?" or something like that. I can't find it in my notes, but she said, "Well, because I feel sorry for both of them." And
Mm-hmm.
the mother went, "What? What are you, nuts?"
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the way she. Oh, I just found it. She said, "Sarah, why are you the peacemaker?" And Sarah said, "I'm sorry for them both." So
Mm-hmm.
that's what she felt. She's a very nice woman,
Yeah, she was a
even
very. I
though
liked her a
she
lot.
wanted him. She wanted him herself, but she was willing to sacrifice.
Her,
And
the father, and I'm guessing that was a lawyer or somebody that was in the case at the end of the movie that she thought told on her.
yeah, she saw this guy in a car that pulled up next to her. She was in the back seat, and
Right,
she hid. And I thought, has she seen that guy before? Was that her lawyer? They call them barristers, I think, in England, right?
right.
Barristers. Yeah,
Barristers,
same thing.
yeah.
But I mean, that was either her lawyer or somebody else's lawyer, her husband's lawyer. I think that's who it was. So anyway, so yeah, she said, "Why did you do that? You had to have told them. Who else would?" He said, "They would have bound to find out anyway.
Yeah,
Things like this, you cannot hide."
yep.
So
I liked that because I was like thinking it didn't look like he ever told them anything.
yeah,
Right? Like
yeah, he didn't admit to it. He said, I didn't tell anybody. They found
now
out on their own." So I
and
don't
we're
know,
skipping
whatever.
around, we're skipping, but my favorite, my literally my favorite, I think I talked about this earlier, but my favorite scene is when she comes down the stairs after she had told
Yeah,
them that he
right,
that she was going up to bed and everything. So they were like, "Oh, well, we're gonna have a nice party. We're not gonna be thinking about a scandal. We're gonna be okay." And then she comes down the stairs, and that guy gives a look up like, "Whoa." Wait. And then she comes, she walks down. The mother walks up to her and says, "Oh, is your, headache gone?" And then she goes, "Headache?
right.
I didn't have a headache." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yes!" Like
Well, see,
that right there was my favorite scene.
the mother was telling all her friends a lie. They
Right.
wanted to know where the new wife was. They said, "Oh, she's got a terrible headache."
Right, right,
And
right.
so, and then the woman up there, and she was going to do that. She was just going to stay up there to avoid the embarrassing the family. She finally said, "To hell with it. I'm going to come down. I'm going to dress just the way they see me as a flapper," which is kind of a floozy in those
Hmm.
days. They call them flappers. It's like a good time girl, kind of a prostitute.
That's also a
And they
comedy
wear,
club, by the
the
way.
big, she had the big earring, she had the low cut gown, the whole bit. And she said, "I'm going to dress just the way they see me." And I thought, oh my God, that's beautiful. I love that
Well,
line.
and you know what? Flappers is a comedy club in Burbank, California.
Yeah, you're right. 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 I've been there. Yeah. Yeah.
You probably
That's
did you
pretty
do
funny.
stand up there?
No, I watched a friend. No,
I could
I
see you
did.
doing stand up,
Well, I
G
did
Bear.
it at the comedy club in
Yeah,
Hollywood. I
nice.
did that. But so, yeah, I used to do stand up, believe it or not.
I do believe it.
In Denver and then a little bit here,
I
and
believe it.
it's just
You're a
got
funny
too much.
guy, you
Oh,
know.
thanks. Well, not as funny as I used to be, but
Well, we're
anyway,
not
it's
funny when we
thank
talk
you.
about Hitchcock because this is supposed to be serious stuff. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what else? There were some very funny lines in this movie, and I did enjoy those when they did. When they had to write it out. Of course, you had to read it, so it lost some of its pizzazz.
Yeah, it would have been
Uh,
nicer to hear it.
yeah, they hear the sarcasm in their
Well,
voices.
like I think I
Uh,
told you before, there was a remake of this. There's another adaptation done
oh,
more
really?
recently that Jessica Biel was in. So she played the American who so in this one it just says a young Englishman marries a glamorous American. When he brings her home to meet the parents, she arrives like a blast from the future, blowing their entrenched British stuffiness out the window.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know if this is. Like exact. Oh, and Colin Firth is in it. Ah, I need to watch
Oh,
this. Colin Firth. He's one of my favorites. I love him.
who's in there?
Colin Firth
Oh, and the second one.
in the second one, the remake. Yeah. He's from like Bridget Jones's Diary and tons of different English movies.
Well, it's
I love it.
at least it's a talkie. But I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there's no real plot to this damn thing.
I
Like the
mean,
normal
the
Hitchcock.
plot is thin. The plot is basically
Very thin.
a woman. I mean, if you just had to sum it up in a couple words, a woman within a scandalous past, meets a gentleman, they fall in love, they get married, and it causes problems when when the family finds out, and the family finds out at the end, like toward the end, the last 30 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So like it's like 30 minutes of like when
Ugh.
you're at like basically 50 mark of the movie, and you're just like, oh, okay, so now what? And then and on top of that, like the father at first seemed to be okay with it, and then I guess when he realized the mother was not whatever, he kind of went with her, you know, it seemed.
Yeah.
But I liked the father
Oh,
too. I thought he was great.
I just found this film to be so boring.
Hmm.
And also there is too much real time in the scenes. Everything was real time. Have you noticed?
Hmm.
I mean, they would do no jump cuts at all. They would just play
There
the
was a
whole
couple
thing
little
out.
cuts, and I hated them when they were cut, and then have like at least on my I watched it on YouTube. I don't know if you where you watched it exactly, but I watched.
No, I got it on some damn thing. I can't even remember now, but it was free. I
Yeah,
just
well, it's on like Tubi. It's on everywhere. It's on all the
but
devices.
yeah, but
Um,
I had some trouble finding it, and I finally found something. I just
well,
looked it up, and then it had it right on the screen. You just click here, and it went right
yep.
to it.
Oh yeah, that's the great thing
So
about these TVs, like smart
it-
TVs. You can
yeah, well, it's
you just
the
search for a
public
movie.
domain.
What?
It was the public domain,
Yeah.
so you could do that. Okay, so anyway, well, the mother discovers she reads the newspaper, reads all about the Filton divorce. That was her first husband's name, I guess. Uh,
Oh no
and
no no,
she
that was
said,
the second. That was her. I thought that was her. I thought the
"No,
last name was Filton.
no,
No, it is. The last name is Filton. Loretta
who?
Filton is her name.
Oh, or okay. Well, that's her maiden name, I guess.
Yeah, that was her maiden
Okay,
name.
but his John's the family is Whitaker.
Whitaker. Yep.
Whitaker. Okay, so she said, "Oh, what I did enjoy something. Um, you remember when she's reading a book behind a hedge in the garden,
Hmm.
and she overhears this conversation between
With
John
Sarah. Yeah.
and Sarah. Yeah, Sarah tells John, "You're neglecting Loretta. Not fair." And then John says, "It's a terrible mistake. Mother made me see that Loretta over. Mother made me see that." Then Loretta overhears him behind a hedge, and then she walks away.
I thought there was going to
And
be something more with that, like that it was wrong that she overheard the wrong thing, like it was comedy of error in a way, like
yeah,
she misunderstood, but nope, he was done with the marriage or whatever.
well, he tells different people different things. Now he sides with his mother, but then he tells Loretta that she's because Loretta says, "Let's go back to the south of France. That's where I was happy." He said, "No, why can't you be happy here?" And then she finally remains and suffers anyway,
Ah,
and then that's when
ah,
Sarah tells
oh
him,
yeah,
yeah,
and by the end of the movie. you know, my favorite thing is where she tells the photographers, "Shoot, you can't kill me anymore." Right? Like I'm like basically she what was the exact line? It was like shoot, um Uh, yeah, so she says, oh, shoot, there's nothing left to kill. And
Oh, that's at the very end.
I
Don't
know, but I'm
don't
right.
don't
It's the very end.
don't
But
you jump too far.
I know I jumped too far. I don't
Where's
care. We're all over the
that?
place anyway.
All right. Well,
I just wanted
yeah,
to say
that
I love that. Like that was just amazing. That was my one of my favorite things too, is that scene. Just because it
well, all right. If we're going to talk about it, let's do it.
yeah.
That's at the end of the movie where the paparazzi are, shooting her with their cameras, and she said, "Go ahead and shoot. There's nothing left to kill." That was pretty cool.
I liked it because at that point she was just like, I don't care anymore. You know what?
Well, they've
Uh
trashed her. And somebody wrote a wonderful review about what it means, the psychology of the whole thing, because she's been raked over the coals from the very beginning.
mhm,
She was scapegoated by a male-dominated society. The first husband divorced her because of flirtation or whatever. It doesn't take much. Vilified, and then during and after her marriage to John Whitaker too, she was vilified.
mhm.
So she couldn't get a break. She,
Nope.
no matter what she did, the woman's always wrong. And back in the 20s, no matter
She was
what, even
basically
if the
viewed
guy,
she
if,
she, she was basically viewed as damaged goods at this, and stuff like by people,
well,
which I think
yes,
is messed up, you know?
yeah. Well, what I'm saying is the man could be a total asshole, and still it's a woman's fault. He could be cheating on her, whatever, and they always blame the woman. Well, if you
Mhm.
wouldn't have given him more sex, he wouldn't have had to do that, And so I agree with that. In the 20s, that was the trend to blame the woman for everything. So, males rule the world, and
I
now it's
like this
animal
world we live
effort.
in right now for that, for most of that, like because for most of it, we are getting women's rights like back, you know,
Yeah,
and everything.
no, things are better.
Now there are people trying to take those rights away again, which I think is stupid, but that we're not getting political on this
Yeah, let's
piece.
be careful with that.
Yeah. My thing is that I just I'm glad we don't live in this world now where if somebody cheats, they've got a scarlet letter on them, Like
Yeah,
I don't like that. Like I don't like that people treat people that way. I think if somebody messed up badly, made a mistake, hopefully they will have learned from it and hopefully never make that mistake again, you know?
well,
And
you remember what Yul Brynner said in The King and I?
I don't think I ever saw The King and I.
Oh, well, he talks about men and women and why men are just in the evolutionary process, they have to cheat. He says it's never flower to bee to bee. It's always bee to flower to flower. So the men have to do that. They're programmed to cheat, and the
Oh
women
man.
not so much. They're the homebodies.
But
They
I
gotta
mean, some
sit.
women still do it. I mean,
Oh,
it
I know.
happens.
Well, I've known several that were like that, but uh, that's true.
You
Um,
know?
anyway, I'm not putting any blame anywhere, but
I mean,
some people are just programmed
and
that
that's the
way. They can't
problem.
help it.
We blame and we judge in this world
Yeah, we
in,
do.
instead of listen and understand and come to our own conclusions. So, let's use the world of like social media. A lot of times somebody will say that person did this, like there will be rumors about that person online, right?
All
And then
right.
all of a sudden that person, but I might meet that person and I completely see a completely different thing in them,
Yeah.
right? But all of a sudden I might judge them based on what I hear from other people, and we gotta stop this shit.
Right.
We got to like
It's too easy to. Yeah. It's called
Yeah.
cancel culture, right? Cancel. We
Well,
just
and
cancel.
nowadays it's really bad because we
Yeah.
cancel before we even get the opportunity to like make up our own decisions, and everything. See what I'm saying?
I
Am I
do.
right?
It's too easy to do it. We're so impersonal with our machines. We've
Mm-hmm.
become part machine.
Yep.
This is something I wrote at the end of this. This is a compelling melodrama of a man's misogynistic world. Always, it's always a woman's fault in the divorce. Also, a look into the hypocrisy and judgment of high society of that era on the lower classes. And that's so you get two things out of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The misogyny of the men and the hypocrisy of the upper class. And that's very obvious. It's screaming at you throughout the whole movie. And so I got that from this, the message. And not that it's much different today, but to some degree. But then I think it was a little more pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know. So we both took the same thing out of this, I think.
I think so. I mean, so once again, we're in two different kind of ideas and thoughts in our head of so like okay, so you when you watched the movie, you didn't fall asleep the first time you watched it, or did you?
I did.
Yes. I had a feeling
I,
you would because honestly, I wanted to, you know? And I was like, if I wanted to, there's no way in hell Larry can't, it
yeah,
wouldn't happen to you.
I have problems like my blood sugar when it goes low, I just nod out.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
to
that
be
happens.
careful when I drive.
Oh, Jesus,
But
yeah. But anyway, what I'm saying is, so I watched this movie, and I mean, I had to focus. I did not like. I know a lot of people love silent movies, and it is a history. These are the beginning of movie making, you know. But if I watch a
uh-huh.
silent movie, it better be like a Charlie Chaplin movie now, or I
Yeah,
don't know, like I kind of want to watch The Phantom Carriage. That's a Criterion movie and it's a silent movie, but it's a horror
uh-huh.
kind of story and stuff. And I think horror stories can work, because you still have that creepy factor, in them and everything
Right.
and stuff. But this movie, there's no, as you said, there's no suspense. There was no, I mean, it was just melodrama, and it was not fun melodrama because like
Yeah.
once again, I didn't even know that they were married until they were saying it, and then I was very confused. I was like, "Wait, did they get married, or are they talking about becoming married?" Like, I was
Yeah.
still
Oh
very
yeah.
confused. And then on top
That's
of it,
because
what?
they cut stuff out. They cut 14 minutes out. I don't know why. Um, I have
Uh,
to find out why, but
yeah, maybe. Hold on, let me
it
see
said
if I
the
can.
film was originally 94 minutes and then reduced to 80, but that's all I got. Not why.
Um,
So 14 minutes, that's a lot.
so you said how long was it?
94 originally.
They cut it down to 80. Um, let me
That's just
ask.
barely.
I'm
That
gonna
just
see.
barely qualifies for a movie.
I'm gonna have ChatGPT search for this because they're very good at finding everything on the internet. So they'll scour the internet and find out. So it says, you're
Yeah,
right. Easy Virtue originally had a running time of approximately 94 minutes. However, the versions available today are shorter, typically around 80 minutes or less. This reduction isn't due to intentional cuts or for content or pacing, but it's primarily because the deterioration and loss of the original film material over time. Um,
okay.
According
All
to the
right.
San Francisco Silent Film Festival, the original film measured about 7,390 feet, equating to roughly 94 minutes, depending on the projection speed. Unfortunately, about 5,434 feet of the footage had survived, which translated to 69 minutes of running time. the significant loss meant that 25 minutes of the film, original film was missing. The British Film Institute undertook a restoration project in 2012 to salvage and restore what remained of Easy Virtue. Despite their efforts, the restored version could only present the surviving footage, resulting to the shorter runtime we have today, so the 80 minutes. In summary, the current shorter versions of Easy Virtue are due to the unfortunate loss and degradation of the original film reels over the decades rather than deliberate editing decisions. Wow. That's interesting. That
Yeah,
unfortunately it was because the film degraded after years and we
right.
lost
Yeah,
some of it. That's why it is very very crucial to store and be archive these films, like, as well as you
right.
can, preserve them because unlike and to digitalize everything now, you know, because
Yeah,
there is no reason you can't. So I think we're gonna see at some point if people can find these old 20s and 30s movies, they're gonna start coming to 4K or so, or at least go up online where people can see them so that they can be saved and
right.
people can watch them still because that's important. Like that, even if this movie wasn't the greatest to us, it's still a movie that Hitchcock worked his butt off to make, you know. Um, I honestly there wasn't that many. There was a couple like you said, the periscope or the scope, whatever the little monocle thing, view and stuff like that. That was kind of
Yeah,
cool shots, but aside from that, it wasn't very good Hitchcock. Like like his shots were just mediocre, and stuff. And I was like, kind of,
yeah,
mm, yeah,
you're right.
not my favorite, but you know what? There might be one I like less. Who knows? We still got a few more to get through.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
do you want to talk about what's next, or did you want to wrap this up at all? Like, did you have any other things you wanted to make sure you mentioned?
I I'm looking to see if there's something else, but I pretty much said it all. Um, I don't know if we talked enough about what happened between the first husband and wife with that artist, but he what happened was he sent her a love letter, and they read it in court, which kind of sunk her ship because she had no leg to stand on.
That's how she got
Uh,
undefended, right?
the artist wrote a love letter to her saying, "Why suffer from that foul brute? I give everything to make you happy." And so he professed his love to her, and so that was the end of that. And so
Mm.
uh, I think we talked about everything that followed that, though. Oh, there was a bystander. I don't know where he went to, or why was he in the room? And he runs and gets a cop.
That's right.
And
Like, yeah,
so the
that's right.
police, I don't know anything about that. Just he just appears and then runs off. And it's,
Yep.
and then when Claude, the artist, fires the gun, I wrote down with a question mark, did he miss? Because the guy beats him with a cane after that. Or maybe it just hit him in the side and then it finally, the blood loss made him collapse. I don't know. So, and then I don't know if he was hit with a bullet or not. So the artist leaves his entire estate to Loretta, whatever her name is, Loretta,
Hmm.
um, about $2,000 per year or something like that. That was odd. Maybe he gets a stipend from the government or something. I don't know. So evidence conclusive was attractive wife of drunken husband, alone all day with another man who loved her. Jury verdict. We find Loretta Filton guilty of misconduct with late Claude Robson. And I thought when I read that, late, what the hell? That means
So
he's dead.
yeah,
So
he
I never saw
killed
him
himself.
die. So she flees to the Mediterranean. So that's what
Um,
happened.
so when
Anyway,
the husband comes in, he looked happy at first, didn't he?
he
He
did.
like started smiling and stuff, and it was weird. And then all of a sudden he gets all mad, like this next second it's like, "Argh," right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, what? What just happened? Like, you come home and find or come to the studio or whatever, and you see the
Yeah.
guy with your wife, you're not going to be happy, period.
No, not at all. Well, they made a big case over the what was that, like a vase or something? They called it something else. Uh, there was some object in the courtroom, and oh, it was a some sort of a whiskey bottle or something. And so the husband would drink and wait for his wife while she had these sessions with the artist. And so the artist would give him booze to drink. And he said, well, I'm not going to give him anymore. So that was one of the things they held up in court. I
Hmm.
forget what they call that damn thing. It was something you hold liquor in, a fancy bottle. And he says, you're cut off. You're never going to drink here again.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anyway, there's a lot of it. But anyway, that's just tying the bow. I think
Yep.
we're done
I
with
think
this
we're
one.
done
But
with this one because it was not my favorite. But I don't know if
no,
it's my least favorite or not. Um,
it has
I
to be one of them.
It's one of them. It's down there. It's on the bottom. I have a feeling a lot of the silent ones are going to be my not my favorite ones,
Yeah,
but who knows?
yeah,
Maybe one of them will be amazing and make me go, "Oh, this is great." I don't know. We'll see.
yeah.
But yes, so the
Okay.
next movie on the list is let me get down here.
Saboteur.
Saboteur. That's going to be in May. I'm Yeah, that's a talkie though, so that should be fun. Let me see which ones I have that are not. So I think Juno and the Paycock may be a silent one.
Yeah, I never heard of
Um,
that one.
I know the Makes Man and Shimp. Okay, yeah. I think like a bunch of these are gonna be. Oh man, we're gonna have a lot of silence in the next season. The last season, we're gonna have to suffer through a lot of these. A lot of them, but it's okay. Well,
How many did he make? My God.
I'm not sure how many of these are. So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Nine of these I don't know. So I don't know
Uh,
if they are silent or if they are whatever, you know. But we'll find out, because he made a bunch
uh-huh.
before. Um, he made a bunch before he did what is it? Before he did talkies. Um the problem is I thought that they said if it was silent or not on IMDb. So Murder
Uh,
was the first movie that was talkie, right? We did that one, right? Do you remember that one? It was
Was
Murder.
that 1929?
Yeah, and it was 1930
Or
and it
30?
was it was the first talkie, I think. And then
Okay.
I think Juno and the Paycock is silent. Yeah, so let's see.
Well, you
One.
know what? I just read um, something. I don't know if it was a Hitchcock film or not, but I just found it looking for all the trivia. It says something called Blackmail was
Mm-hmm.
the first English talkie. Blackmail. So I don't know who did that, but
No, he did that. Was that the
we
first
already did.
talkie?
That was the first English talkie.
Okay, and we did that one. We already
Okay,
reviewed Blackmail. We
that's nice
reviewed
to know.
Blackmail and we reviewed Murder. Okay, that's right. So we reviewed Murder, and I thought that was the first talkie. Still apparently think it's the first talkie. Apparently, Blackmail was the first talkie. So that looks like so one, two, three, four, five, like six we haven't done yet, you know? And then what is this? There keeps being like things popping up on Hitchcock's IMDb,
Uh-huh.
like movies I never heard of or movies, whatever that he did. And apparently he did a short, I'm guessing kind of like I don't know what they're called, but it's called Let's Go Bathing, right?
Let's go
Um
bathing.
Bathing, like
Oh, let's
BATHI.
go bathing.
And it says summer as acumen and as the poet says, and weather permitting. But what are you going to wear when you go down to the briny? Famous stage folk give us their idea on the matter in whatever this is. So it's a Hitchcock thing just called Let's Go Bathing. I thought that's weird. I don't, it's only 4 minutes long, so it's not going to be included in our thing. And then he did a short film called An Elastic Affair. It's a short sketch featuring winners of the Film Weekly Acting Scholarship. Um, and then what else? Jeez. So I guess that's like it of those, but like I'm excited to see I I don't know. I'm excited to watch them all so I can say I've seen every Hitchcock movie, you know.
Uh-huh.
Even if I don't remember
Right.
I don't
Me too.
remember them. But I can say we can say if somebody says, "Have you seen Hitchcock movies?" You can go, "I've seen them all. I've
Yeah.
watched them all at least once or twice. For you twice, me once, at least, you know." So, really excited. This
Yeah.
season has been
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm a cinephile now.
Yep, yep, yep. I'm gonna be doing more of these type shows, more hooked on something else. Uh like I think I'm gonna try to get Paul to do Hooked on Kubrick because he's a huge Stanley Kubrick fan, and thankfully Kubrick doesn't have a huge like roster of films, you know, like
Uh-huh.
everybody else does. My buddy John Ward wants to do Hooked on Cronenberg with me,
Uh-huh.
and so I'm like, I want to do more of these things. And if you want to do another one, I don't know if you will or not after Hooked on Hitchcock is done, if there's anybody else you want to,
Yeah,
tackle.
possibly. Yeah.
I don't
Right
know.
now I'm doing a lot of films, so it's hard to fit all this in, but
I'm happy you're
yeah,
able to fit it in when you can. If you want to take a break after we're, pretty much done, I'm fine with that, you know. I'm always just go, go, go because in fact, this year's been a weird year because I have been focusing on my film stuff right now or my writing and other things. So I've been doing less podcasting, you know, which
uh-huh.
um which has been okay but also frustrating, you know, just because I still love doing it, you know. But I actually had to take a break from two of my YouTube channels because I was just doing too much and I
Yeah,
don't.
I think you are overworked.
Yeah, and I'm not
Yeah.
getting overworked and underpaid. So
Well,
until like
true.
people start throwing money at me and saying, "Here, take this money
Well,
to do your podcast,"
you have to figure out how to monetize stuff.
you,
Make
um,
some t-shirts or something.
yeah, people don't buy t-shirts, honestly. It kind of sucks. They would if like we're at a convention or something. People might be interested in checking it, but mostly not. Especially not if
Yeah,
something they've never heard of. Like why is somebody gonna wear an indie film cafe sweatshirt or hoodie when they've never even heard of us? You know, like
right.
probably not gonna happen. So we, uh, we're understandable of that. We're just trying to get along, trying to
Uh-huh.
figure it out, but it will be. I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, so next month we've got Saboteur, which is a talkie, so I'm excited to rewatch that.
Yeah.
Um I think is it on 4K? Might be one of the ones that's on 4K that I could buy. Um I haven't even Oh dude, this is bad. I haven't even been collecting movies lately. Like I think I gotten to the point where I almost don't like watching movies much unless I'm like reviewing them. Like I don't know. It's just like it almost feels like homework, you know,
Yeah.
and
You're
everything.
burnt out
I know. I
too
don't mind
much.
watching TV or YouTube. I watch a lot more YouTube than anything. Like, and mainly not even sometimes not even movie like related YouTube stuff. Like just
Yeah,
random shit, you know.
I can only watch so much of anything, and I need to walk outside and see the sun and the clouds and take a hike.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I do stuff mostly during the days that gets me out of the house. You know, like I've got to play, I got to meet, I got things I do with people, so I'm social. You know, because if
Right.
I didn't do that every day, I'd go nuts. You know,
Yeah.
like there was a time where I'd be sick and I wouldn't be socializing, and I hate it.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
I have to do that. But anyway, I'm so glad everybody got to check this out. Um, please, for the love of God, tell us what you think of this movie. Did you like it? If you did, um, God bless you, because it doesn't seem like it's everybody's favorite. It is on 4K. I can buy it for 46. All right, I will do
This,
that.
which movie's that? This one?
Saboteur.
Oh, Saboteur.
I'm not buying this one. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Maybe if I want to get the full collection someday, but like I don't know. And this has got Priscilla Lane in it and Robert Cummings. So,
Okay.
and it's got the if you can see, I don't know if you can see too well, but it's got the Statue of Liberty behind them. So I'm wondering if that's a big if that's a like, you know, that's like the Mount
Yeah.
Rushmore from uh North by Northwest, you know. They like to have those
Yeah.
landmarks in his films and stuff. So
Oh,
I'm excited to see it.
what did you think about Richard Chamberlain just dying? Did you like him?
Who?
Richard Chamberlain?
But he just
He
died?
was he was in Thornbirds and he was a priest and in Shogun. Yeah,
Oh,
he was 90.
wow. I did not even know he died.
Yeah, I just got to work with him back in 1986. I did a movie with him in Colorado
What
called
movie is
Dream
that?
West.
Which one? Oh,
Dream
Dream
West.
West. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a cavalry officer and he was my general. So I told you the story where I took this. I just had a regular camera. They didn't have cell phones back then. So I took about 6 pictures with him, and then I realized I didn't thread the camera right, so it didn't
Oh,
take. I got home with no pictures.
oh, that's a
30 years
bummer.
later, I 30 years later, I was in a convention and I got a picture with him and it's on my wall. So
Oh,
I finally got my
nice.
picture. He was
Well,
about 80 at the time when I took it, but
that is
so he's
crazy.
a really good guy. I really liked him a lot.
Wow,
One of the
so
good guys.
was he over 100 when
No,
he
he's
died?
90. 90.
So he must have been 70 when you met him or so. Wait.
No, he's 78. When I
Hmm.
met him, well, oh, for the first time, he was
Yeah.
around 50,
Okay.
something like that.
Oh, but
Around
when you took
50.
the picture the second time, he was.
It was in 19 oh God. It was about 12 years ago, I think. Yeah, I took the picture out of the frame so I could post. You didn't see my post, I guess. I I'll send it to you. But anyway,
Okay.
so I had to take it out of the frame. And on the back of it, it had the date because I always put the date of everything. So it's
Mm,
like, oh, well, 12 years ago. Okay, he was 78,
dang, that's crazy.
but he looked really good, for 78. Well, I'm 75, and if you take care of yourself, you can still look good.
Holy crap! F. Murray Abraham played Lincoln in this. The Dream West.
It's a great movie. It's about
Looks good.
General Fremont.
Yeah. Richard Chamberlain plays John Charles Fremont. Jerry Orbach is in it. Freaking Rip Torn. Oh man, this is a
Yeah,
Mel Ferrer, isn't it? Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's
A
good.
young, probably a young Matt McCoy. Cameron Mitchell. Oh man,
Mhm.
Cameron Mitchell is a uh hey everybody, and sorry about this. We had some technical difficulties. Apparently the internet messed up and we weren't able to finish the podcast. But I wanted to just let you guys know so we don't just like end. So thank you guys all for checking this out. We really appreciate it, and check us next month for a brand new episode of Hooked on Hitchcock. Until then, everybody, bye.